I welcome you all to Kalakuta Radio on behalf of Fela Kuti, Chief Priest of the African Shrine, Onilo Risha I of Africa. I greet you all and welcome you all. And it's my pleasure to tell you that Kalakuta Radio was actually born out of a desire to bring back alive, especially for the very young ones, the different stories and enigmas that actually formed this enigmatic society of African people and ideologies. Kalakuta Radio is going to actually focus on the contents of the impending book, Kalakuta Diaries, that was written by me, and it's the most comprehensive details of the events and characters that shaped Kalakuta over the years. Especially for the younger generations, it's important to give these information because there has been a whole lot of misconceptions about the peoples and especially Fela himself. I recently saw a clip on TikTok from the brother of Ayafash, the former governor of Ekiti State, talking about Burna Boy. He was admonishing him to be a little bit more circumspect in dealing with his fans. Because according to him, he came late to a concert where people had already paid a lot of money. And he didn't stop at that. He talked about Burna's mother being a dancer. And if Fela was not respectful to his fans, she wouldn't have been able to dance or whatever. First of all, I have to make it categorically clear. Burna Boy's mom never danced for Fela. The fact of the matter is, Burna's grandfather, Benson Idonije, was the first indigenous manager of Fela and the Kula Lobitus band. So Burna's grandfather was the one involved with Fela. Burna Boy's mom never danced with Fela. That is a question a lot of people have been asking me, especially in Europe. Anytime they get access to me, they ask me, "Hey Uwa, was Burna Boy's mother a dancer with Fela?" No, she was not. She couldn't have had time to be a dancer with Fela when she was studying in one of the universities in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, that's more reason why she's in a competent state to manage his own son. And she obviously has been doing a terrific job with being a manager. For those who might want to denigrate the woman by saying fake news about her being Fela's dancer, I say you should just hang the issue permanently and let it lie. Burna's boy mom was never a dancer with Fela. From Kalakuta Radio, you're going to get comprehensive insights into daily routines in Kalakuta. And there are a lot of things that went down there. But one thing for sure is Kalakuta was never boring for a second. I'm not actually going to divulge so much as of now because we are the political seasons. It's just a few weeks to the general elections in Nigeria. I think you all should be more concerned with getting your PVCs and going out to vote, because that's the only way you can influence whoever is going to rule over you in the next couple of years. And I'm going to admonish you all not to sell your votes. You cannot get a morsel of gari or rice that can't even last you for 2 days as compensation for the horrors you might likely have to go through for the next 4 to 8 years. So I'm not going to tell you who you're going to vote for, because somebody asked me recently what I think about who Fela would have supported if he was alive today. And I categorically made it clear to him that if Fela was alive, he will most probably be on the ballot himself. So he won't be supporting anybody else than himself. And there's nobody, I repeat, there's nobody with a clear-cut ideology to move, not even Nigeria alone forward, the whole of Africa forward, than Fela. We've had different kinds of activists, so-called activists, that actually were only interested in their own pockets. So they create these stories of activism around, this aura of activism around them, just to attract some influence or patronage from the powers that be. And as soon as they have their feel, they throw their activism to the dogs. It's been the case all over the years. I've been watching from close and far distances these so-called human rights activists. They are nothing but self-seeking narcissists. And I think it's about time Nigerians get used to the reality of their lives. You have a chance now to influence who is going to pilot the affairs of your country. Personally, I have my own opinion about the foreigners, or the ones you call in gladiators. It's not too encouraging what I see there. And the political space in Nigeria is all muddled up and messed up. But I see a little bit of hope, because if you are conversant with the meteoric rise of agitation of Nigerian youth since the time of SARS protests, then you will know that it's possible to actually build a new country. So I think personally that this is about the last chance to do things right that Nigeria will get. Otherwise, I'm sorry to say, you all be getting prepared for a complete dissolution. If you look at the composition of the political space in Nigeria, you have reasons to be only pessimistic. As a matter of fact, things have always gone from bad to worse when it comes to political leadership in Nigeria. If you agree with me, every single president that comes into an office in Nigeria has done worse than the predecessor. There has been these traits with all of them, and that is self-seeking disposition towards governance. And this is not what a country like Nigeria with over 200 million people deserves. We definitely need people who have the interests of the common people, like Fela had, because this is the only man I know in the history of Nigerian politics that committed what you call class suicide. He's a man that was born with a golden spoon and decided to throw away the golden spoon and side with the downtrodden. But the hope I see in all of this is the kind of attachment to Fela's ideas, the love and respect he commands within the section of the Nigerian youth is very encouraging. Okay, probably it's because of the higher percentage of literacy among the younger generation of Nigerians than the older ones. The younger generations will take Fela over any of these crooked politicians that you had in the last couple of decades in Nigeria. And that makes me a little bit optimistic. So in the very nearest future, we're going to be talking about the different issues, especially the ones that borders on Fela, from his childbirth, how he was born, died, and was reborn again as Fela. These are stories people don't know about. As a matter of fact, he told me the first time I met him in prisons when he was still incarcerated at the Benin prisons. That's where I met him. And I went to visit him. I was very young. Normally, people at my age don't have that kind of guts to go to prison, say you want to visit somebody in the prisons. He told me that, although he scared me a little bit at the time, he told me he had met me before. And a whole load of personalities that were there, like ex-governor Abubakar Rimi, Samon Bakwe, back in Zoo, former commissioner of finance in Oyo State back then, and some other VIPs all sitting there. They were all amazed and looking at me and Fela, and because when Fela comes into a room, the whole attention is focused on Fela. And he said, after he asked me a couple of questions and I answered, and everybody there was staring at me like, wow, where the hell you know this from? Because of, my age at the time, and he told them that, don't make the mistake of thinking that you're talking to a small boy. I met him before, and I asked her, I said, yeah? Like, I was surprised. I never met him personally. I said, yeah, you don't understand. In the spiritual world, I met him in the spiritual world. So those other men were laughing, but I was scared like hell. Because when you look at Fela, if you met him for the first time, just look at him, it's like looking at a deity. That's the kind of aura he commands. He commands this kind of heavy spiritual aura around him, and he says something you like, oh, wow. But it was too heavy for me. And I said, child, as a young boy at the time, I just had to run away. I gave him an excuse. I was going to come back, but I had to run out of it. I had to digest that for some few days before I eventually summoned the courage to continue my liaison with Fela. I think it was a divine moment in my life to meet with the enigma called Fela. So like I said, you are going to enjoy the contents of broadcast from Kalakuta Radio, because it is the best, it's the most compelling stories you ever heard in your life. For example, I'm going to give you a teaser to the kind of things you're going to hear. And that is the fact that against what has been widely broadcasted all over, that Fela was sent to England by his parents to go study medicine. It's all fake news. It never happened. Because Fela in the first place was not a science student in school. He was the best music student they had in school at the time. I think one old member of Baptist Boys Grammar School back in the days said so much in his interview that when it was time for science studies and stuff like that, Becker, the younger brother that Fela, was the one leading the pack because he was so intelligent, you know, when it comes to those subjects like physics, chemistry, mathematics, or biology. Becker was leading the pack. But when it was time for them to do anything with arts, especially music, everybody had to take a back seat. Fela would have to come forward because he was from childhood the musical genius. So the story about him being sent to England to study medicine was all a hogwash, BS. So you can forget that. So to end this session for today, I'm going to wish you all a very peaceful elections. And if I don't come your way before the elections, I hope you all will do the right thing and make sure you vote somebody that will actually improve your well-being. Somebody that is not self-centered. Somebody that has actually the interest of everybody at heart. And then I guarantee you, I'm going to be back and you're going to have the best storylines you ever heard of in all of your black lives. So please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any goddamn episode of Kalakuta Radio, because we are definitely going to be back. Igbe, one. Peace out.